everybody, it's Maddie here. Today I'm going to show you how I made this cute little crocheted little tote bag or crochet purse. It could be either. It's really just a really cute bag. I'll show you how I made these granny squares and then also how I put everything together and made the straps. So let's begin. These are the granny squares we're going to be making today. We're going to need 13 squares in total, so I'll show you how to make one. Using my first color, we're going to start off by making a magic ring. To do that, you're going to take your string and you're going to wrap it around your fingers 3 times, and the tail should be in the back of your hand. From there, you're going to take your hook and you're going to stick it through the first 2 loops, and you're going to grab that last one, pull it through, and then hold on to that magic ring so you don't lose it when you slide it off your fingers. And then go ahead and chain 2 to secure it in place. Go ahead and chain 1 more so you have a total of 3. And now to make the clusters. We're going to start off with 1 double crochet. To do that, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook through our magic ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. So then you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. After your first double crochet, we're going to do 2 double crochets that are going to be combined. So I'll show you how to do that. So starting off your double crochet as normal, yarning over, inserting your hook, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 2, and you're going to stop right there. Let's make the next double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through those 3 last loops, like that. And that's how you do 2 double crochets joined together. So that's our first cluster. Let's go ahead and chain 1. And to begin the next cluster, let's do a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook through the magic ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So there's our first double crochet, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets together. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Stopping there, let's start our next double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, just like that. So the cluster consists of 1 double crochet and the 2 that are joined together. Go ahead and chain 1, and we're going to make 2 more clusters. So let's do our first double crochet, and then the 2 that are joined together. So there's our third cluster. Chain 1, and let's do our last one. So do a double crochet, and then 2 double crochets joined together. Pull through 2, start the next one, pull through the last 3, and then chain 1. So now we have 4 clusters. Let's go ahead and tighten our magic ring here. There we go. To join the first round, we're going to do a slip stitch in that 3rd chain that we did at the beginning of the round. So we're going to insert our hook through that top chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, put this loop through this one. Let's go ahead and chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to turn our work like this, and in this first hole we're going to do 2 clusters, and the clusters are going to be the same that we did at the beginning of round 1. So we're going to do our first double crochet, and then the 2 double crochets joined together. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then begin the next double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through those 3 loops. And then to separate the 2 clusters that we're putting into this chain space, we're going to chain 1. Let's do another cluster. So do our first double crochet, and then the 2 join together double crochets. So now we have the first 2 clusters. Let's move to the next chain 1 space, which is right here. And we're gonna do the same thing that we did in this chain one space with 2 double crochet clusters. There's no need to do a chain one space in between coming from here to here. You only need to do the chain one spaces when you're doing a corner, but to go from one hole to the next, you don't need to do a chain one space. So let's do our first double crochet, and then the 2 double crochets that are joined. Chain 1 to separate those 2. Once you're done with that, you should have 2 more chain 1 spaces left in this round, and you're just going to do the same thing by doing 2 of our clusters in each one. Don't forget to separate the 2 clusters with 1 chain. Okay, I made it to the end of round 2. Now is the time when we can change colors. I'm going to be changing mine to this mustard color, which is this one right here. We can go ahead and cut our yarn. I like to cut just a few inches. And then with your new color, what we're gonna do is we're going to insert our hook through that 3rd chain that we made at the beginning of the round. And then we're gonna take our yarn and we're gonna put that onto our hook and we're gonna pull it through like this. And then since we're joining these 2 rounds, we're gonna do a slip stitch. So we're gonna pull this loop, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. And then I just go ahead and I do 2 knots. Just like that. So from here, I'm just holding these 2 strings right here because we're gonna stitch those in while we're crocheting because I don't wanna have to sew them in later. So in this space that we have right here, we're going to do a cluster. So let's do our double crochet like that. And I'm also going on top of that, those loose strings we have. And then we're gonna do our 2 double crochets that are joined together. So yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through to the first 2, then begin our next double crochet, making sure I'm going on top of those strings. And there's our cluster. Since we tied the 2 knots on these strands pretty tight, I just like to go ahead and just cut that off, and they should stay pretty good. Okay, in the next chain 1 space, which should be in the corner, where is it? Here it is. We're gonna do the 2 clusters separated by 1 chain. So let's do a double crochet, then our 2 double crochets that are joined. There's our first cluster, chain 1. Let's do another one. There's 2. In the next space, you're just gonna do 1 cluster. And then the next space should be another corner, so we'll do 2 clusters in that one as well. So as we're going around, every single corner piece is going to need 2 clusters, which will be separated by 1 chain, and then all the rest of them will just be middle spaces, so you're just going to do 1 cluster in that. And as you can see, this next one is the middle space, so we're just going to do 1 cluster in that one. Like that, and I'll meet you back up after you finish this last corner. Here we are at the end of round 3. We're going to go ahead and cut off our yarn. And I'm going to grab my next color, which is this peach color, this row right here. We're going to change our color the same way we did whenever we changed from this color to this color. So just by inserting our hook to the 3rd chain that we made at the beginning of the round, like this, taking our new color, we're going to pull it through both of those loops. And then we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, flip it over, and then make sure to tighten those strings that we have here. Let's tie our first knot pretty tight. And again, holding these 2 strings, we're going to crochet it into our square. For this round, we're basically doing the same thing as we did in the last round, where we have the middle spaces, which we're going to do 1 cluster in, and in the corner ones, we're going to do 2 clusters separated by 1 chain. So here we have a middle space. Let's go ahead and do 1 cluster like that. And I also made sure to crochet in those 2 strands. I'm just gonna cut that off here. And the next space is just the middle space. So we're just gonna do 1 cluster in that. And then the next space is a corner, so we'll do 2. Go ahead and continue that all the way around. Don't forget to put 2 clusters in those corners, and I'll meet you back up when we can change to our next color. Okay, I've made it to the end of the round, and this granny square does tend to curl up, so I just like to take the corners and just stretch them as I'm making it, just to flatten it out a little bit more. So let's go ahead and cut our color, and here's my last color, this beautiful navy color. Again, to change the color, we're gonna insert our hook through the 3rd chain that we made at the beginning of the round. We're gonna pull our new color in. We're gonna chain 3. Make sure both are tight before tying our knots. Let's do our first cluster in this first space. So we have our double crochet and then our 2 join double crochets. Like that. Went ahead and cut off the tails. And again, we're gonna do the same thing that we did in the last round, doing 1 cluster in each of the middle spaces and then 2 in the corner spaces, which will be separated by 1 chain. All right, so once you make it all the way around your granny square, here we have the last corner with the 2 clusters that we just did. So now to finish off this round, we're going to do a slip stitch in the first double crochet that we made at the beginning of the round. So we're gonna insert our hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And then we're gonna put this loop in through this one. Just like that. And then go ahead and chain 1. And then you're gonna go ahead and cut off your string. I've already done that. And then just pull your crochet hook through. And then tighten it up. And that's how you make your little granny squares. Now, if you want, with the other 12 granny squares that you're gonna have to make, you can do like different colors if you want. I decided to make them all the same so they look uniform. And I've already completed 12 more granny squares off camera, and this is my 13th one. And I also already sewed in all the ends, so these are all ready to go, this little pile. I'm gonna go ahead and sew up these little ends and then cut them. So I'm just threading my needle through, and then I'm just kind of weaving the ends through till it looks good. Then just go ahead and cut that. Okay, I just finished sewing up the ends. Now, if you look at the difference between this square and this one has like kind of curled corners, and we want to try and square out the squares as much as possible. Now, I know that some people have like these pegboards with like sticks, and they like somehow straighten them out. I don't really know how to do that. I'm gonna show you what I do though. So I just like to take the 2 corners, and then I'm just going to stretch them pretty hard actually, and then take another corner and stretch it, another corner, stretch it, and then the last corner, stretch it out, and then it makes it flat. And I don't really have any reason to get a pegboard whenever I can just do this, and it works great. Now, I'm sure if you have a lot of granny squares, that would be more convenient, but you know, this works for me, so I'm gonna keep doing it. So you're gonna wanna do that to all your granny squares, so that way you have a nice pile of 13 granny squares. Now, once you have all of your granny squares ready to go, we can begin sewing together our bag. I'm gonna show you the layout that we're going to sew together to make our little bag. I just laid out the squares on how you want to sew these together. It doesn't really matter exactly how you sew them together, but this is what we want. We want something that looks like this. So the first row has 2 squares, and the third row has 3. Then we have 2 again, 1, 2, 1, and 2. So if you want, you can go ahead and screenshot this and then sew together each square however way you want. The way I'm going to sew this together is by starting with these 2 right here. So let's go sew these. I'm going to use the navy yarn to sew this together, but depending on what color you made your border, you can decide what color you want to use. I'm going to find the corner space that we separated by the 1 chain, and then I'm just going to go into the first double crochet stitch right there. And then I'm going to go into that same stitch on the other square. And when I'm sewing this in, I'm going to go into the same stitch on each side, so that way we sew this even. I just made it to the end, so now I'm gonna go grab my next square. I'm just gonna take what we sewed together and place it back on our little pattern thingy. Since the end of the string is here, I'm gonna sew together this one. And then we'll go along this edge and sew that. Okay, I just finished sewing together this part right here, and since the tail is on this side, I'm gonna grab the next square that's next to it and sew together this square. Now you kind of get an idea on how I'm doing this. I am going to do this square next. I am going to sew together this part right here, and then when I finish that, there's not going to be like any square to sew on right here, so I'll probably just trim that and then restart with a new piece of string to sew in the rest of them. But there's really no rule on how you get this together. You just want to put it together. I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I'll show you how we can fold it to make the bag. Okay, I just finished sewing together the entire thing, so now all of these squares are connected, and so it's now one piece. And now to make the purse, we're going to fold this over in half like this, and then with these extra squares, we're going to fold them in, and then we're going to sew along this line, and that's what's going to connect the purse. So I have some more yarn here, and then I'm just going to take my little needle, thread that through. So starting in this corner right here, I'm going to flip it, and this is where we're going to start, right here. I just finished sewing together this little area here, so now this side of the purse is done. I just gotta sew together this other side right here, and then we'll have our little bag. So we'll just need to do the same thing on this other side, starting in this little corner of this top square here, folding this in, and then sewing along this line here, all the way till you get right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we can begin making the straps. I just finished sewing together this side, so now we're going to add a row of single crochet to the top of our bag all the way around. So starting on one side right here, we're going to take our yarn, I'm folding it in half, and then I'm taking my crochet hook where these three squares are connected, and then taking our yarn, we're just gonna pull that through. You can go ahead and chain 2. In each of these stitches at the top, we're going to do one single crochet. So starting in the first one, we'll do a single crochet, and then continuing that in the next stitch, just like this. And then we're going to continue this all the way around till we make it back to the beginning of where we started. All right, I made it to the end of that last round. I'm just going to do a slip stitch into the first single crochet that we made and tighten it. And now we can begin making our straps. So in one of the top corners, it doesn't really matter which one, you should have 5 single crochets in this like corner area right here. We have the middle one and then 2 on each side. So you want to start on the first single crochet right here at the beginning of like that corner. That's where we're going to start our strap. So I'm just going to attach our yarn and chain 2. And then I'm also pulling on this tail to make sure that that's nice and tight. And then we're going to do a single crochet in that same stitch that we joined our yarn into right here. So just do a single crochet, and then in the next stitch you'll do a single crochet as well. And we're going to do 5 single crochets. So that was 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is going to be the beginning of our strap. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn our work, and we're going to do a single crochet in each of the 5 stitches. Like this, and then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn again, and we're going to do the same thing that we did in that last round, where we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each of the 5 stitches. And then we're going to keep on doing these rows till you like the length of your strap, and this strap is going to attach to this other corner right here. So depending on how long or how short you want this strap, you can make this as long as you want. So I'm going to go ahead and continue crocheting this strap till I like the length of it, and then I'll show you how we can attach it to this other corner. Okay, I just finished crocheting the entire strap. I ended up doing 104 rows. That's how long I wanted my strap to be. So now we can go ahead and attach this to our other little corner. So I'm just laying out my strap, make sure that this is not twisted or anything whenever we attach it. So with our other corner, what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay it flat like this on the corner. Here we have the strap and then that corner. And then in that corner, you should have 5 stitches, and that is where we're going to do our slip stitches to attach our strap. So here we have the top of the corner, and then we should have 1, 2, then the top, which is 3, 4, and 5, and that's where we're going to attach our strap. So starting in the first stitch, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hook and place it in the stitch, and then also in the first stitch in the strap as well, like this. And then that's where we're gonna do our slip stitch. So we're gonna yarn over and pull our yarn up and through those 2 stitches, and then we're gonna put this loop in through this one. And then we have our next stitch. We'll go through the stitch that's on our bag and the stitch that's on our strap. And we're gonna do a slip stitch. And then we're just going to do that for each of the 5 stitches, just like that. So I made it to the end of the strap, and then I'm gonna do another slip stitch in this next stitch that's on the bag. I'm just gonna do 1 slip stitch right there. So now we've attached our strap. We can go ahead and cut our string, and then I'm gonna chain 1 and then just pull my hook up, and then we can go ahead and tighten that. So now we've attached our strap just like this. And then I've already done my second strap, but you're just gonna do the same thing that we did for the first strap. And then also you wanna make sure that your rows are even on both straps. So like if you did 104 rows on one strap, you're gonna need to do 104 rows on the other strap, just so they're even. And so yeah, there is your bag. I do have quite a few of these like leftover little strings I need to sew in. And then your little crochet bag is finished. It's so cute. I love the colors I did on this. And then also, I want to make a lining for the inside of this bag, but I think I'll make that a separate video. And I also want to add some pockets and stuff. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to go ahead and sew in the ends, and then you can see the final bag. Here's the finished bag. It turned out so good. I think it's so adorable. I've also seen some other people do the same bag design but with flowered granny squares, and I think that's like so pretty. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe. Also, if y'all have any questions, don't forget to leave them down below in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!